created his first microscope in the early 1600s, they've produced a constant stream of discovery. You name anything small, so cells, bacteria, Scotland's chances of winning the next Six Nations. And it was probably first seen with a microscope. So why did Watson and Crick have to fire X-rays at pieces of DNA to work out that it was a double helix? Why didn't they just screw a big old lens onto their trusty microscope and have a look? Well, to explain why not, let's pretend that there's a big microscope system between me and you. I'll be the observer looking down the eyepiece, and each one of you will be very small points on the sample surface. Now, when you lot are illuminated, light bounces off of you and spreads out into a cone. I can see you because my microscope collects that cone of light, and by bringing the beams back down to a focus, makes each one of you look bigger. But here lies the problem. Because light behaves like a wave, it has a tendency to spread out as it goes through a hole in an effect known as diffraction. Now, my microscope is basically just a hole with a series of lenses inside of it. So instead of bringing each one of your cones of light back to a sharp point, the spreading effect of diffraction means that it's brought back to a smudge. This means that as I try and look at smaller and smaller objects, the smudges from each one of you can overlap, meaning that it's impossible to say whether the smudge came from this lady, for example, or the gentleman next to her. We're at what is known as the diffraction limit. It's only when the distance between you is bigger than this limit that we can say with any certainty that this smudge came from that point. So this was why Watson and Crick couldn't just directly look at DNA with a microscope. It's too small, it's below the diffraction limit, and so it just looks like an indistinct splurge. Now, I don't want you guys losing any sleep over this. There is some good news. We're on the verge of a really significant discovery. We're just starting to develop special man-made materials known as superlenses. Now, these interact with light in such a way that they can image things that are well below the conventional diffraction limit. So, before too long, it may well be possible for even a school child to screw a superlens onto the bottom of her microscope, look down the eyepiece, and stare straight at that helical piece of DNA. Thanks very much.